Congressman, you and I have had so many conversations about not just right-wing disinformation and the Republicans' reliance on it, but the true damage it has done. We've talked about political violence. We've talked about the number of people in the sort of Trump MAGA base that don't believe that the election was, as Chris Krebs declared, a lifelong Republican, the, quote, most secure in American history. I'm still concerned that even when you have that crush of Republicans, I mean, Ian listed off Dave Joyce, Don Bacon, I've got Ken Buck, French Hill, Lisa Murkowski. I mean, you've got a crush of Republican voices saying there's no there there. And you could have a whole lot of people spoon-fed disinformation from right-wing media and believe that there is. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think that's a conundrum. Not only about impeachment, but frankly about politics and truth in America. Kellyanne Conway famously coined that phrase, alternate facts. And that's what we're seeing in right-wing media. Truth doesn't matter, and facts are malleable. I do think that what Kevin McCarthy did today is a craven act. It's cynical. It is purely pandering to the far right in his caucus to get them, hopefully, off his back and to buy some credibility in the subsequent negotiations on the funding of the government to avoid a shutdown. To continue to pander to the far right in his caucus is a very dangerous game, as we've already seen. And they're never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be another pound of flesh they want to exact. This is evidence-free, fact-free. It's entirely made up out of whole cloth, essentially avoiding a floor vote that he promised just 10 days ago. He has instructed two committees to find something. So it's not like we've got a case already in front of us and we need to make something with that case, as we did with Trump. We don't have any case. So he's essentially telling them, find something. It's just a real low moment for the House of Representatives, and I think a very low moment for Kevin McCarthy.
There's a word for it, Charlie. It's called appeasement. In the history of the world, there's not a single example anyone can point to when the good guys benefited from a policy of appeasement. But let me just recenter, and I don't even want to call this a conversation about impeachment. This is a conversation about McCarthy's deal with the devil to remain Speaker. And I think, Charlie, it was either you or David Jolly who said on this show, I think either between votes 9 and 10, as like Speaker McCarthy, or not Speaker, but wannabe Speaker McCarthy's dignity was swirling around the bottom of the drain. There were fistfights breaking out on the floor. And someone said, I'm sure he gave away a promise to impeach Joe Biden. Here are all the things that Trump did to try to dirty up Joe Biden. He sends Rudy to fire Marie Yovanovitch. He gets rid of Marie Yovanovitch. He sends Lev Parnas and others over there to find dirt on the Biden film. This is before any sort of official primary is really even underway, or it's underway, but Joe Biden isn't even the Democratic nominee. He sets up an off-book foreign policy with his ambassador over there to try to get Zelensky to promise to hold a press conference to, quote, just say it's corrupt. Does that sound familiar? Exactly what he asked DOJ to do about the 2020 election. He's been trying to frame the Bidens himself since he was America's president. And the idea that the House has now picked up on this fool's errand, by the way, an errand that got him impeached the first time, it's sick, but it's not surprising. And I guess my question for you is, without any of these Republicans willing to stand up to McCarthy and pump the brakes, what do you think happens next?
Well, I think we're going to see this clown car at center stage. Look, I mean, if they have the goods, all well and good, but they clearly don't. To the congressman's point, this was craven, it was cynical, it is pandering, but you understand why they're doing it. I mean, we're now finding out that Donald Trump talked with, met privately with House leaders and told them that he wanted them to do this because, to speak pure Steve Bannon, The goal here is to flood the zone with shit, to devalue impeachments by making sure that everybody is impeached. But I think what's going to be on display is the no there there. And I think that this is what you're hearing from Republicans. If you're going to do this, if you're going to make the Congress hostage to this agenda, if we're going to spend the time debating whether or not we remove the speaker, impeach the president, shut down the government, defund the Department of Justice, defund special prosecutors, block the military from making up promotions, we ought to be able to explain to the American people why this is a good idea. But Kevin McCarthy, who engaged in that rather dramatic act of self-gelding, made this promise, and now he has to follow through, even if it means, as the congressman noted, reversing the position he held 10 days ago when he said that he would have a vote of Congress to begin this inquiry. So this is we're about to go into a very, very messy month. This is going to be Kevin McCarthy's month from hell. Unfortunately, he appears willing to drag the rest of the country with him.
I want to ask you, Congressman, if you agree with your colleague, Congressman Raskin's analysis and Charlie's astute observation of the Bannon theory, that this is just to make it more equal for Trump, the candidate. Trump was impeached, so was Biden. You know, Trump was investigated, so was Biden. There's corruption. The Trump, organization and hotels were skimming off the Secret Service and foreign visits. If it's just an effort, again, over on Earth 2, to put enough sand in the gears to muddy those waters.
Well, the tricks of the trade for Bannon and company are distract, distort, and dissemble. Right now, we're in the distract phase, right? So, yeah, flood the zone, as Charlie said, so everyone gets impeached. It's a commonplace. But I think it's also to distract us from the fact that Donald Trump has been indicted 4 different times. There are 91 counts pending against him. He's at enormous legal peril, and they don't want us to focus on that. So let's create a different headline. And sure enough, that's the headline of today, isn't it? They also don't want us to focus talking about relatives of presidents. How about Jared Kushner getting a sweetheart deal worth billions of dollars from the Saudi government, a government that's, tainted, obviously, by the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, but also Jamal Khashoggi, conflict of interest, had the Mideast portfolio create peace in the Middle East. And when he leaves the White House portfolio, he gets rewarded by a Saudi prince. I think that's worthy of some examination. They obviously don't. So let's focus on Hunter Biden and a laptop, and let's impeach President Biden so we're not talking about these other troublesome, nettlesome issues.